Hey everybody, it's Dr. David with a Burger Bite for you. So on Wednesday, I tested positive for COVID-19. I had started with some sniffles on Sunday, and I promptly started our immune protocol as well as promptly tested myself for COVID. It was negative. That was actually Monday morning I tested, and then still had some sniffles on Wednesday, and so decided I would test again. It was negative for the rapid, and I did a flu test, and it was also negative. But then come Wednesday, at the end of the day, I started feeling more flu-ish, and I tested. I actually had a 117 fever, which I never ever get a fever, so that was kind of interesting. So I figured, okay, let's go home, and I did a rapid test. I also did send in a PCR test, and both tests are positive, so I know for sure I have this. So I just wanted to let you know, I'm doing great. The fever and the achiness that was there last night is no longer there. I did take one dose of ibuprofen before I went to bed just so I could sleep well without the aches. But nonetheless, that's doing well. Now, of course, I did, not just did I start the immune protocol with the high dose vitamin A on the when I started on Saturday, but I did repeat it again on Wednesday night when I got a little bit more sick. And I did at that point also add some quercetin and some elderberry to the protocol just to kind of give myself a little extra boost. Okay, now, also, as you know, as I've been transparent before, I did choose to get both vaccines as well as a booster. The last one was back in September. I did have my semi-quantitative spike total protein antibody tested back in March, and it was about 10,000, and when I repeated it last month, it was about 7,500, so still a robust number, but as we've also heard, that is a 25% reduction, and so we do know that these antibodies are waning over time. Now, whether it's the antibodies that I have from the vaccines, whether it's the immune protocol that I started on the very first sign of illness, and again, that information is found in our patient portal useful info section as well as on our Patreon, our Patreon page. Whether it's the fact that I've been around coronaviruses for 20 years as a pediatrician plus, and therefore there is probably some cross-reactivity, and that's probably why younger kids are much less likely to get sick from COVID in the first place. God's good graces, I'll take it all. But doing quite well over here. Now, I am in quarantine I'm following the CDC recommendations that I will be in a quarantine situation here in our spare room until Sunday. That will be day number 5, and assuming that I stay afebrile and I'm continuing to do better, that is when I can come out of my quarantine, as long as I'm wearing a full fitted mask. And so with that, I will be in the office next week, which is good, in a full mask, of course. But of course, do encourage people who are getting sick, always get tested. You know, the main thing here, for your own self, get started on these supplements as soon as possible. Don't expose somebody who might be more at risk than you as well. So, and of course, the CDC does have their standard guidelines as to when a person should test, when a person should quarantine, be in masks. There are different recommendations for people who have been vaccinated versus who have not. Unfortunately, there's no mention about people who have had the disease before, and we know that that's a glaring omission in this consideration as well, because a person who has had the disease should have a good amount of immunity, even if it's not fully protective, similar to the way the vaccines do. Alrighty, so that's how things are. Things are going well here, and let's hope we keep it that way. Bye-bye.